Hello, welcome back to the Shellda Podcast. My name is Dan Shelley, a professional paintball photographer. And in this episode, I sit down with another professional paintball photographer, Nigel DeSouza. And the cool thing about Nigel is he's on a pro field shooting an extreme sport with a film camera. That is absolutely mind-blowing. And so we dive into this episode and talk about his whole entire process, why he uses film, what it's like being the only film photographer out there. And then we also dive into showing some of his work and the book that he just created. So this is for sure an episode you're not going to want to miss. Let's jump right into it.
Photographer of the Year, let's hear it for Dan Shelley, Shellda Photos.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Shellda Podcast, where this week I am joined by a great friend of mine and a fellow professional paintball photographer, Nigel DeSouza of 88Films, of 10 Seconds. Like, you're crushing it lately. How are you?
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course.
It's the first interview really that I've done with anyone, so.
Yeah, that was such a interesting thing, is like when you and I were starting to, to talk about having you on the show. I think this was about a month or two ago, and you're like, hey, let's wait until I get your photo book, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. I didn't realize that you had never been on a podcast before. So it really meant a lot to me that like this is going to be your first podcast that you've done.
Yeah, man. I don't really like doing interviews that much, so this is like, I wanted to do it with you. Somebody that I know. Yeah, man.
Gosh, that means a lot. Like I just got goosebumps on my arms from you saying that. Well, before we dive too far into this, because we've got a lot of great questions, and I actually have the copy of your book. Haven't even opened it yet. I got it this morning, and so I'm genuinely excited to open it up and take a look at it with you and the rest of the viewers.
Hot off the press.
Hot off the press, exactly. But before we do that, I want to give a huge shout out to my two show sponsors. First and foremost, BFP Gear, one of the, if not the largest online retailer for paintball. And they've got 2 stores in California. Like, they're absolutely crushing it. I know you and I are fresh off of Tampa, and Paintball Fit and Dynasty were both in the finals. And I just had a moment when I was like, wow, what a cool thing for BFP Gear. They just became a big sponsor of Paintball Fit. And so to have Junior and Gina have both of their pro teams like in the final, like that's wild. That's a dream come true for them,
Yeah, I can't ask for better than that. Both teams placed in the top.
Yeah, you really can't. So
you're winning regardless.
Yeah, exactly. I was wondering like what's going through Junior's mind right now, because he's one of the coaches for Dynasty. It's kind of a win-win for him, right? Like if Dynasty wins, obviously, it's a double dip, but he's still winning either way if Paintball Fit wins. So pretty cool. And then the other sponsor I want to give a huge shout out to is Hormesis. This past weekend I was at the USXBL event here in Texas, and man, there's just something special about headbands. I think we all know this being in the paintball community. But I tried it this weekend. Like I walked up to a few random people, and if they were wearing a Hormesis headband, I was like, hey, tell me about that headband that you're wearing. And like, they would just light up, and there was just an instant personal connection to the reason why they bought it, what the little, like stitching, the little icon on it was. They just felt so connected to it. And, it's so cool to be part of that brand. They're crushing it. I don't even look at them as a paintball brand anymore. They're more of like a lifestyle brand. For sure.
They make great stuff. And I think paintball is cool like that. You can, everybody has their one thing that they always bring to the field, I would think, right?
Totally.
Even photographers have that too.
Yeah, I think, for me, I obviously, if I don't have my camera, like I would go home and get that, but besides that, like if I forgot my mask, if I forgot my jersey, anything else, like I can get that stuff from other people. But like if I don't have my Inner Dragon headband, I will turn around and go home and get it.
Go home, yeah.
Yeah. What's your one piece that you won't leave home without with?
Probably, what do I have that I always bring? I have an old Venomware headband that I've always had. There's nothing special about it really, but it's just one that I've always worn. That
Yeah.
comes with me. But I'd like to get something. I need a Hormesis like camera strap. That'd be sick. They make one. They should make that.
Yeah, they did. I know a few years ago they did I think it was like a media series where I want to say it was just a camera on it, and it was like Rye Guy, Verbal, Mafia, I think were part of the series.
Okay, cool.
But I definitely think that Alex and Hormisa should do like a second wave of that, because obviously we have so many more creators in the game now. So I think that'd be a pretty cool one if they did like a second wave of it, and maybe you have your own individual line of that where like it's a certain colorway. That'd be
I'd
pretty
love to do
sweet.
that. I want to do a camera bag personally.
Oh yeah.
Something that doesn't look like a traditional like what are those ones that everybody has, like the low pros.
The low pro. Yeah, I know what you're talking
everybody's got
about.
a
That's
low
what I started
pro.
with.
Yeah, I started with that too, and then I'm like, it just looks like a camera bag. I want to get something like tactical with like actual camera like inserts for lenses and stuff. That'd be sick.
Yeah. Have you checked out? So like I know you're in Toronto, Canada area. Have you checked out that Nomadic bag by Peter McKinnon?
No, I haven't seen that.
Highly suggest it. I'll send you a link to this after, but
Okay, cool.
you might not be able to see it, but it's obviously super dark. But like that's
You got
what I
it in the back
use
there?
back there. And Peter McKinnon's like one of the greatest, in my opinion, photographers of all time. Like I love his work outside of paintball, of course. And he partnered with Nomadic a few years ago, and they did 2 camera bags. They did like a small kind of everyday one that I actually use for my office bag. Like that's my bag I just throw my laptop into to go back and forth in the office. But they did a bigger bag where that's what I use when I travel. And it's like, the reason I love it is it fits all of my camera gear, it fits my laptop, and it goes under the seat on the airplane.
Oh, sick.
That is
Perfect.
key for me.
Yep. Yeah, don't check
So-
any of your camera stuff for sure. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of not checking any camera gear, that's something unique for you. So for the folks that don't know you, you're one of the only true film photographers in paintball. Like I know there's some people that do it on the side or some people that bring out a film camera once in a while, but like that is you. You are using film on the highest level in paintball on the pro field. Tell me about that.
yeah, I shoot just black and white film. I know a lot of people used to shoot film and they obviously moved to digital, but that's what I do. And I really like the cameras. I like the process, and it really like forces me to slow down and take my time and like choose shots. I can't like burst away at like, I don't know how many frames per second most of these cameras do now. Like I can't do that. I'm shooting maybe 2 frames a second. Yeah.
Do you have your camera here in front of you?
Yeah, I got one of them here. This
Can
is
you
my Nikon F.
can you pull that shutter next to the microphone?
Yeah. Can you hear that?
Yeah, totally. So for the people that are, go ahead.
Yeah, this is my Nikon F.
Yes.
So this is like a classic camera. Really super nice and like manual focus. Yeah.
So for the folks that are not watching on YouTube and they're just listening on
Show you another
Spotify and Apple Podcast, Nigel just showed his camera, and that sound that you heard was him taking one individual picture and then having to like reload it, taking another individual picture. And so that itself is such a form of art. Now he's holding up another
This
one.
is another one here. Yeah, this is my M6. So this is primarily my off the field camera. It's a rangefinder, so it's not like a SLR where when you're looking through the viewfinder, you're looking through the lens. You're actually looking through a little window here, and there's a little patch in the middle. And when you focus it right, it comes into focus, and you can just really you can watch like the scene unfold in front of you. Like it's really cool. Anyone that hasn't used one of these, this is like one of the famous street photography cameras, and I use it for paintball, but I don't take it on the field.
Yeah. Oh man, it's just so cool to watch you do what you do. And I want to dive into that. But before we do that, just to kind of set the context for the viewers and the listeners who aren't, camera nerds like we are. When I'm out there on the field, I've got a camera with a nice big zoom lens. I've got a battery in it, and I could just hold down my shutter. And so when somebody is running at me, it's like I'll look at somebody at the start box, right? 10 seconds will count down. When the buzzer hits, when they're running at me, from the moment they raise their marker to diving in the snake, I'm probably taking somewhere in the range of 60 to 70 pictures. Yep. And I'm just going to post one of them. But that's allowing me to get that perfect shot where their eyes are open. Maybe they're looking directly at me as their head is going up. You, on the other hand, can
it's one shot.
It's
two
one
shots,
shot,
maybe.
and it's what you get is what you get.
Yep.
That's wild.
Yes.
That is.
It's rewarding when you get it.
Yeah, talk to me about that, because I can look down at my camera and I can scroll through my pictures right there, but you can't see any of your work in the moment.
Yeah, I have to look at it when I get back home. And that's actually when I actually experienced the event. I think a lot of photographers like that too. When you're shooting it and you're in the middle of it, you can't really watch the games. You don't really know. I mean, you know what's going on, but you can't really like enjoy the games and stuff. You have to do that afterwards. And yeah, for the most part, when I'm shooting though, you obviously can't look at anything. You have to do it when you get back home. And yeah, it's almost like a Christmas present, opening Christmas presents when you go through stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would equate like what you go through. It's
a nice
similar.
Surprise getting good shots.
Yeah, you almost, obviously there's the element of surprise, like, oh wow, this did come out, or maybe it came out better than what I anticipated. But I think it's almost that same feeling of like, for folks that are a little bit older, when you were younger and, you would go to your local store, like with that point and shoot camera that you would just throw away after you get it filmed, or the film done at your local, Walmart or CVS or whatever the store was. The photos come out, the cashier hands them to you, and like you start to flip through them, and it creates this feeling of you relive that exact moment. Even if someone's eyes were closed, or like if it was a little blurry, doesn't matter. Like, it's still such an important moment in time that you captured, and it seems like that's what you're able to go through.
Yeah, it's nice looking at it after. I feel like, you're not constantly checking to see if you got it. You just take your shot and you're on to the next thing. And I mean, if you trust what you're doing, you're gonna have a nice shot, I think. Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit more about that trust, because that is so, I think, important and valuable into what you are doing as a film photographer.
Like picking and choosing your shots. Yeah.
Picking and choosing your shots, because I've got a handful of memory cards, right? So like I'll take thousands of photos at an NXL weekend. Like in a 3-day event, I'll probably take somewhere close to 20 to 25,000 photos. Wow. And in your, let's say one roll of film, how many photos can you take?
Yeah, 36 shots on a roll. Yeah. And
that's
it's
crazy.
Not cheap. It's not cheap, so you're paying per shot. What's that? There's a quote in The Karate Kid when Mr. Miyagi is telling Daniel, he's trimming like the bonsai tree, and he's like, "How do I know which is the right one? Like, what's the image? Picture it." And he just says, "If it comes from inside of you, it's always the right thing." And I thought you could use that for a lot of things, Yeah,
for sure.
I like that.
I mean, when you said that to me, like, that's, if your passion is first, people will see that passion. Like, they'll see that feeling that you had in that moment.
Yeah, if you take your time with something and you do it, do it with care and do it with like trust, like you're going to make something good.
Yeah. Speaking of doing something good, just a quick sidestep here. I went back and forth on sharing this, and I was like, I'm not going to share it. I'm like, let's do it. So for a lot of you, I know the folks in my Patreon know this because I opened up in there and told them about it. But this is actually the second time that Nigel and I are sitting down and recording. We tried to record last week, and literally, I'm talking like 5 minutes before we were about to sit down, my audio interface, which is something that my microphone plugs into to create some better sound, it completely died on me. And so I went in this like panic of like, now what do I do? And I told Nigel like, hey, go on standby. I'm going to call customer support because I couldn't figure it out. And so like I had Nigel waiting for a half hour while I'm trying to do this. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to plug it into my computer and I'll figure it out. And it just created this like environment of where I was stressed out. And like, I went into this interview, like obviously with other things on my mind, and the audio obviously didn't come out that great. And so it was a good lesson for me to, you know what, if something doesn't go right, I don't want to put out a product if I don't believe in. And so 100%. A lesson for me there is I should have reached out to him like, hey, I'm so sorry. Let's reschedule this. That way it gives me time to do this. And so thank you for being flexible.
Hey, it's all good, man. It's a learning experience. Yeah.
Exactly.
And you're self-taught at this, right? Like you've learned this on your own.
100%. Yeah. This is all self-taught. And that's ties right back into photography, right? Like I think for me, I'm completely self-taught with everything with my camera. So tell me a little bit more about that. Like, where did this love for photography start? But also after that, I would love to know film specifically.
Photography, I've always had a camera, like a point and shoot, taking pictures of friends at parties, just traveling, taking photos. And it was just always an enjoyable thing to do, and come back and look at the photos, and just creating nice images and stuff. And it's almost meditating when you do it. You can go out on the streets, you can wander, you can explore a place when you travel and not have any plans and just go and shoot photos. And that's probably one of my most favorite things to do, I would say. No plans, just take a trip somewhere and take a bunch of photos. And I think a lot of people like to do that too, right? I'm sure you do when you travel.
Yeah. I do and I don't. And I think what I go through is I put so much pressure on myself of like, if I'm taking a photo out and about traveling, like it's gotta be this certain thing. It's gotta look like what I see on Instagram. Okay. And I think a lot of people go through that, where when they go through that, they don't even pull out their camera. And the reason I say that, I think what I see from you just enjoy the art of it. You enjoy the whole entire process. And so you're actually taking pressure off yourself to capture certain images. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say so. I just do it simply because I enjoy it, and I'm not doing it for anybody else. I'm just doing it for me personally, even for stuff on like Instagram, and people want to post things for likes, and if this photo gets a lot of likes, I'm going to do some more of that. Like, no, I ain't doing that. I'm just going to post something because I like it. Like, fuck that.
I love that. That's, thank you for sharing that. Cause I think some folks who are either in media, or maybe they're early in their, photography days, they're looking for that validation of like, when I post something, this needs to get 50 views or 100 likes or whatever the number is. And if they don't get it, that starts to create that self-doubt of like, well, maybe I'm not good enough. Like maybe, I thought this was a good photo.
More often than not, a bad photo is or not a bad photo, but just something that isn't like the best is gonna get shared. I don't know, just the algorithm is weird. Yeah, I don't understand it half the time, because like you'll have an amazing shot, you put it up, like no likes. Like, do not let that discourage you. That's just how this shit is. Like,
Has that always been that way for you? Like, I know you said you love photography, but like when social media came out and you started to post, did you notice like your mind change at all with that?
No, not really. I just posted things that I wanted to post, and I've kind of always used it for photography. I don't post a lot about myself or like selfies or whatever. I just post photography and just stuff that I'm interested in. And I'm only doing it for me, really, just to have a record of what I did.
Yeah. Isn't that like that right there is life advice, right? Like you hear so many famous people say like, if you do if you do your passion, you'll never work a day in your life. And so you're doing what you love for yourself. And from that, you've grown a brand and a business from that, right? Because
I think the best way to do it, even with like the guys that do hormesis, I'm sure they did it for themselves at the start. They wanted to make something that they're proud of. Like, this is what we want to see. This is what we like. So we'll make something. And I think that's the best way to go about doing anything, really. And that goes back to like the the bonsai tree thing from Karate Kid. He's just telling you to like do something from your heart and do it to your best, you know, and it's going to be, even if it's just do it for yourself, really. Yeah.
Yeah, you're spot on. And it's taken me a while to like figure that out. You know, like I've done different projects throughout my life, like different business adventures, and it's always been money driven first or some other form of that motivating factor and like not passion first.
Right.
And paintball photography has been the first thing that I've ever, I think, truly done that has been like passion first. And like that's where the success has come from. And obviously now that the podcast too, trying to grow that element of it. I even like literally just this morning, I got a message, I'll pull it up here, on Instagram from some random person. I have no idea who this person is, but I wrote that children's book a few years ago with Dynasty. And this guy sent me 2 pictures of his son. I'll put them up here after when I'm done editing.
I think I've seen that. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and he said, "Hey Dan, I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you for making this book. It has allowed my son and I to have a bonding moment. He brings me the book every day to read to him." And so like, I never went into this thing trying to make money off of this book. Like I genuinely just wanted to help grow paintball at a younger age. And so that's exactly what you're talking about. Like I did it for me and like the cool things that come from it now.
Yeah. Just trust that there's somebody else out like you out there that would appreciate it. And I think that's the best way to do any business, really.
Yeah,
Don't do it
for sure.
The money. Yeah. The money will come if something is good.
Yes. Yeah. That's, my wife and I talk about that a lot. Cause we both have like some, business minds, and we both have a lot of different ideas that we want to eventually do. Mm-hmm. And we always keep each other accountable. Like, are you doing this for you? Like, what's the reason you want to do this?
Yeah.
And if it's not true to who you are as your core, like we strike it, we don't do it.
Yeah. And, I don't like a lot of new movies. I don't like the direction Hollywood. I mean, just kind of moving away from that, but same thing. They're all made by like committees and stuff, and they're doing it with the dollars in mind. I'm sure, obviously, when you're making a movie or when you're doing something, there has to be, you got to make some money, but they're making them the wrong way. And I think a lot of people have realized that, and that's why a lot of the stuff is failing, because it's not done by somebody that really cares. It's done by a committee of people that are trying to make some money, and that's all it is. So
that's a great way to look at it. And I wonder maybe if we'll see a shift in movies. I think we already are. Like we're seeing less movies on the big screen, and like we're coming more to like smaller platforms. And I think that's giving more power back to the creator and the creative side of it. Yeah,
they used to do a lot of artistic stuff, but that kind of changed in the past like 5-6 years, or maybe even before that. But yeah, it's coming around, and I think that goes to what we're saying. Like just do something because you really want to do it, and not because of the money situation.
Yeah. Speaking of doing things that you just want to do, I would love to, I've been anxiously awaiting to like open this book. So while I'm opening this for the first time, why don't you like walk us through what this is? Like, why did you do it? What's the idea behind it? And I think this has been out for 2-3 weeks now.
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
Yeah. So like, tell us about that process that you've been through so far.
The book is called 10 Seconds. And it's a black and white film photo book. It's all 35 millimeter, 332 pages, and it documents 2023 to 2024. And it's everything that I shot and that I curated into a book. And yeah, it was really cool. I went out to Amsterdam to this great book printer called Wilco, and saw the books getting made and chose the papers, and it was a really cool process. And yeah, like this is a purely passion project. I did not have any sponsors. I just did this purely because I wanted to put out something that I was proud of. And yeah, it's going really well.
Wow. It's like, right there, we were talking about hormesis earlier, of like they did hormesis for themselves to start off with. This is like hearing that without even looking at this or opening up yet. Like I already have a connection to it, just hearing how passionate you are about it.
Yeah, man.
Gosh. All right. Yeah. So
it smells good too.
All right. I'll smell it. So the first thing, I'm assuming this is super cool. I didn't know I was getting this. There, you included a print that you took of me. I think that's pretty badass.
Yeah, so this is made in the darkroom. This is a handmade print from the book that I made of Dan. And yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much. I might have to like put this back here somewhere where like you see it on all the shows. This
Hell
is awesome.
yeah.
I've never like truly had a black and white photo done of me or something like this. This means a lot.
Yeah, so that's made in the darkroom, and if you put it up to like a regular inkjet print, you'll see a big difference. So,
wow, thank you. That's so cool. And that's I was trying to think what event that was, but like I could see the banners in the background. So like, oh, it's got to be World Cup.
it's World Cup. Yep.
Yeah,
I think that was during the last game too, the fit game.
Oh my gosh.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, that is because I was actually standing out on by the grandstands trying to get some crowd reaction of like all the craziness that was going on. So cool. All right.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I remember every photo that I've taken. You might forget about it, but when you see it, you remember where you were, and that's what I do. Yeah.
You know, I thought I was the only one there. I'll share a funny story before I open up the rest of this book. Obviously I do a lot of work with Dynasty, and we've got like a great, partnership where we help each other a lot. A lot of the photos that I take end up on their social media or like banners on their website or other places. But what they have done historically since we partnered together is a lot of the photos that they use for the posters that they do for their autograph signings at NXL events are a combination of my pictures. And I think it was at some point last year, I'm standing in the pits, I'm standing in the Dynasty booth with Eric Crandall, who's like a huge member of the back end of Dynasty, like helps make that team just really run. No one really knows about Eric. He's incredible. And I'm like, oh, that's one of my photos. And he looks at me, he's like, how do you know that? I'm like, there's just something like you know every photo that you take, even if it's been like edited or like if the background's been removed, there's something that connects you to that moment. And when you see that photo again, like it brings you right back to it.
Yep.
I assume you go through that too?
Yeah. Same for me. Yeah.
What a wild experience, right?
Yeah. Photographic memory.
Exactly. All right. So let's open this thing up. This is huge, by the way. Holy cow.
Yeah. Yep.
You said it was what, 300 some odd pages?
332. Yep.
Wow. I think it's pretty amazing that you went to the actual place to get this printed.
Yep. First time in Amsterdam too. I didn't have any time to do anything else, but just went there for the book printing.
So what this reminds me of is you said it has like a very distinct smell. For anyone who like ever bought like a video game from like GameStop or whatever, like when you rip that plastic off, like it kind of has that same smell to it. Super nostalgic for me. Gosh, this thing is gorgeous. Holy moly. So for those that are just listening in and can't actually see this, it's a black and white. Everything in here is black and white, and it's all just images that Nigel has compiled. Over how many seasons was this?
It's the end of World Cup 2023 and all of 2024.
All 20, and it looks like
so
this is
shooting. I started shooting in 2023. So.
Oh wow! So this actually is a culmination of your work, essentially so far.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And it's volume 1, so you can see that on the side. I'd like to do 2 more books. Make it like a trilogy.
Yeah,
it'd be cool. Yeah, it's hard to see,
but volume 1 somewhere in there.
There you go. Yeah.
So is this something you're planning on doing like every few years and do like a
I'd
culmination
like to do
of
3
it?
books, one from this entire year, and then the next year I'll do something with that. But yeah, I'd like to do 3.
Wow. Gosh, just some of these shots are unreal. Like I vividly remember this because I took a similar shot on the field. I want to say this had to have been World Cup. Like here's a picture of one of the Tauntauns players just sitting in the pits after the match was over, jersey on top of his head, and I'm assuming crying under that.
That's one of my favorite shots I've ever taken. I sent him a print of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
God, I wonder, like, I would love to know what he thought when he opened that, right? Because it's obviously it's such an emotional experience. He just lost, but like, I hope he appreciated that you were able to capture that.
I can show this.
Man.
This page is cool.
Yeah.
This is,
Tell me what are some of your favorite photos in here?
If you can see that.
I remember when you posted that.
Yeah. This is ICPL, Texas, and the whole event was flooded. Yeah, so I don't know what happened, but something with the city, they released a dam the night before the event, and people were playing in that, it's insane. I think people got like trench foot. I'm not even kidding. Like,
yeah, I think I think you're right. And for the folks that are, tuning in, they can't visually see this. Nigel just held up a picture of, I mean, it's an iconic picture. I think when you posted this thing last year, like it exploded, but it was a picture of the Dorito side of the field, and you were probably you had to have been close to legit knee deep of water.
It was past my knees. Yeah. I had
Past
to borrow
your
somebody's
knees.
I had to borrow somebody's like waders to go in the water to even cover the event.
And so players played in that. That's insane.
This shot is really cool. This is Dan Camp right before he went on his one-on-one and won that. I really
Yeah.
like this.
Oh my gosh. Like, just look at the emotion there.
But just it's a really nice book, and I put a lot of time into it, so I hope everybody likes it.
Yeah, I highly recommend picking one of these up. Man, I selfishly can't wait to just like go through all of these. So because you and I had to re-record the show, the goal of doing this show when we did was in order for me to get a copy of it, so I could obviously open it up and we could share that experience together. But when we originally recorded, I didn't get it in time.
Stuck in customs.
Yeah, I was stuck in customs. So I literally just got this morning. And because of that, you had already, when we were trying to reshoot this, you're like, hey, I'm going to send you another copy. And so I have a second copy of your book, 10 Seconds Coming. And what I would love to do is to do a giveaway where we can give somebody who's listening in a copy of this. Because this is one of those pieces I think that, 5, 10, 15 years from now, like people are going to still be talking about this. And it's just something that you can leave on your coffee table. And like, if you have friends or family over, like, hey, what's paintball? Like, this is exactly what you'd want to show them.
Yeah, and I think it's cool that it's all black and white too. So if you take it to the field and you get like colored paint on it or whatever, it's not going to it might actually look cool. Yeah.
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 I could see, what is it? When you have leather that like breaks in after a while, it's called patina, right?
Yeah. There you go. Yep.
I think after a while, like this book will get like weathered a little bit. Like, some of the corners will be kind of messed up. Like it's just going to add so much more character to this.
Yeah. So get some paint on it. Get some like graffiti going.
Yeah. Maybe somebody's going to send you like videos of like dropping, paint on it and like just having it. But anyway, so for this giveaway, I think what we'll do is this episode's going to come out on Tuesday. It's just like all my other ones. I'll give it a few days. I'll wait till Friday, and then Friday we'll pull a winner. So in order to be eligible for the giveaway, all you have to do is down below, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the join button, join my YouTube membership. It gives you a ton of cool perks. Like you have different emojis that you can use for comments. I post like exclusive things to the membership community. And then also go follow Nigel on Instagram at, what's your handle?
It's 88films, like the year, but it's spelled out. So
88films. Perfect.
Yep.
And then the third thing you have to do is after you follow Nigel, you've got to drop a comment on my channel of what your favorite Nigel photo is that he's taken.
Oh, cool. That's a good idea.
I think that'll be pretty cool to see like what people have resonated with your work.
You should show them some of the stuff from the Tampa event. You could post some of that up if you want.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's, actually, I have a photo. Let me get it here quick.
That's actually one of my favorite photos that I sent you.
While I'm trying to find that one, I had a different one queued up. I think this is a different one. So let me pull that one up first. So this is a photo in preparation of the first show. I wanted to like pull up some of your work and talk about it. And this one just like, it resonated with me so deep. And so I actually want to hear your thoughts on it first. And then I'll give you like what my feeling and reaction was. So tell me about this photo.
Yeah, so that's actually from the book. There's a shot of that in there. That's from Vegas last year, and that's tearing down the fields and stuff like that after the event, and you could see like the mountains in the back there. So, yeah, I don't know what you don't see is that this event is essentially like pretty much right in the middle of the desert. It wasn't far from there. You could drive like 5 minutes and you're in the middle of the desert. Yeah, no, I just like this. It just shows the aftermath of an event, and a lot of people don't really cover that.
Yeah, that was. Thank you for explaining that, because that was pretty much my feeling when I first saw this too. Is, at paintball events we capture. The media does a great job capturing the rundowns, the reloads, the fails, all that. Go Sports does a great job, but like all the stuff that happens leading up to an event, in between matches, even after the event, like there's so much work that goes into it that people just have no idea about. And so when I saw this photo, it hit me so deeply, because literally on Sunday, as soon as that final match is over, like the team is on the field celebrating, they're hugging each other and embracing. The referees immediately start to like tear down the field.
Yep.
And
I
we
think it's kind of cool.
We don't see that in the public.
Yeah, people take off. A lot of people take off as soon as the event's done too. It's kind of cool to stick around and show like a little bit of the behind the scenes. I'd like to do more of this.
Yeah, I think this would be so cool if we could find a way to like get you to events, maybe a few days before or even a few days after, just to capture like the work that goes into setting up these events. It's wild. So thanks for capturing this. This is a beautiful photo.
Oh, thanks, man.
I did find the other one. So when I pulled this one up, I'll explain this quick for the people that are just tuning in, obviously via audio. This is a picture of me looking up at the scoreboard in Tampa, and the scoreboard says 10 seconds. So talk to me about this, because I've got so many thoughts that I want to share after.
Yeah, this shot was really cool. The sun was coming in at the right time, so the flare is nice there. But yeah, so 10 seconds is for people that don't play paintball, that's probably the most intense time of the game, right? It's just pure quiet in your mind, and you're just focused on all the things that are about to happen. And I thought that would be cool to show, somebody looking at the scoreboard. And I've never got this shot before. I've never seen this shot before. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly, I think, one of the reasons why you and I resonate with each other's work so much is we look for the shots that no one has gotten before. And like we look for ways to show paintball to the paintball community like they've never seen it before, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And this is a shot where unless you have played an NXL event, or you've stepped on like an NXL field or a pro field, you're never going to experience this. And so at the pro field, and I think some of the divisionals, they've got this really big scoreboard that typically has the score of the team, the logo, the time, and all that. But as soon as it hits 10 seconds, it flashes this 10 seconds up there for literally a second.
Yeah.
And the thing that I've noticed that I do it, players do it, and other media members do it too, they always look up at it. It's like you hear it, but you still need that visual confirmation of, oh, it actually is 10 seconds.
Yep.
And then you turn around and you get right into like setting up your camera. So this is beautifully captured.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, and I thought it was cool because like everyone's looking the other way. As far as photographers, for the most part, they're trying to get the breakout and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get 10 shots of the breakout. I'm going to turn it the other way, and I'm going to do something a little different. So, yeah, that's kind of just how I am anyway.
Yeah, that's honestly, like that's some great life advice right there. My very first NXL Pro event, I think 3 years ago now, was in Florida. Here, I'll bring this back down. Was in Florida, and it was the first time, and I'm sure you've seen this too and experienced it, where as soon as the pro match is done, like literally as soon as that buzzer is hit or the time runs out, whatever it is, like the media just run on the field, right? So they can be as close as they can to that player who's celebrating. I didn't know that. That took me by surprise. And so all of the media was like huddled and circled around, the group of players, and they were like, the cameras were high, like just to hopefully try to get a photo. I was like, well, I guess I missed it. Let me just stay back. And so I literally was 10 or 15 feet behind all that craziness. And I got one of my favorite photos I ever took there. I had it framed, but I think I moved it around. It's a picture of Harrison. I think it's Harrison Fry. Somebody hoisted him up with his arm up in the air, and it's the back of his jersey.
I want to see this now. I don't know which photo you're talking about.
Yeah, I'll pull it up here, and like when I get done here editing, I'll post it. So I'll actually have it like you'll see it on the screen and post here. But it's like an iconic photo because it's something that you would not normally see because everyone's so close to the action. But I was able to step back, and that taught me so much in that one moment that whenever now I'm on the pro field and I see all the media go to one side, I go to the other side.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So like, talk to me about that experience because your work, obviously we just saw some examples of it, is like no one else's. How do you capture those things with just one single shot?
I think, like you said with your shot there that you really liked, you're just trying to do something that it's interesting to you. So it's not so much about don't go where the crowd goes and everything. And also you're probably going to get the same shot as everybody else if you do like that. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for those little spots where I don't see anybody taking a shot, and I'll kind of go to, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think my favorite work that you've taken is off the field, honestly.
I prefer to shoot off the field stuff personally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think all the intensity you can show with players and stuff is happening off the field so much right before the game starts or right after it ends.
Do you find, is that easier for you to shoot off the field stuff versus on the field?
You can pull up your mask and you can shoot. It's just easier to take pictures that way, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah,
Go
ahead.
No, I was gonna say I used to use like a tinted lens for like a few events, and I don't do that anymore. I'm just gonna use a clear because I want to see exactly what it looks like and stuff like that, and it helps with like your metering and stuff like that. Because that camera that I have doesn't have a meter, so if I can just see what that light actually looks like, I can just expose it perfectly. So
yeah. That's one of my favorite moments that you and I shared together. I think it was at World Cup last year. You and I, after the event was over, we went over to the stage where like they hand out the trophies and whatnot, and like, they do all the celebrations. You and I were pretty close to the front row, and we were waiting for Paintball Fit to come out and get some cool celebration shots of them with a trophy and champagne and all that. And it took so long for the NXL to like get everybody over there. Obviously, it's a huge event.
We almost waited an hour, I think.
Yeah, and like it was just, I'm just sitting there waiting, and I know even if it gets darker, like I'm just gonna turn my ISO up a little bit, mess some settings, just like literally in 3 or 4 seconds. But like every 10 or 15 minutes, you would like pull out your bag and take out I'm assuming your meter to like recheck the lighting, right?
Yeah, because it's changing all the time, and you can't. This camera specifically has no meter inside, so you have to handheld check it and. Yeah, it's just it's not practical, but I mean that's what you got to do with some of these old cameras.
Yeah, that's what I love so much about what you do is like it's
part of the film process.
Yeah, it's part of it's almost like I would equate it to like driving an old car, right? Where like there's no radio in there, like it's a stick shift, like it's just you feel I've always heard people say you feel the car, like you feel more part of that experience, and it seems like you go through that.
For sure. I have an older car too, so I can relate to that. It's 100% like that. And yeah, so the steering, it's not like your steering wheel is pretty smooth on a newer car, right? Like it's easy, but if you have an older car, like, yeah, it's just stiff and it's just different, like the cassettes. And I don't know, it's film isn't for everybody, but I really like to use these old cameras and I love the process. So there's a guy from Japan called Nigo, and he's got a brand called Human Made. And one of the things their brand says is the future's in the past, and I think a lot of the future is in the past, actually.
Tell me about that.
I think we're reverting back to a lot of old stuff, less tech in a lot of ways, and I think it's healthier for society and just people in general. Not saying you got to shoot a film camera, but I'm just saying like less tech, less screen time, less a lot of this stuff, less social media.
That's I think I see a lot of that, and I think I listen to a lot of creators. Like that's some of the media that I consume is, like I listen to a lot of creators, like through podcast and through video form. And it seems like we're about to hit a trend where, listeners or just the general audience, they want more of like a raw feel. Like they want to connect more with a creator like yourself or myself through some type of community where you
something
feel
tangible,
like,
yep.
yeah, tangible. Where everything that we're doing with the AI, it almost makes it like there's a disconnect. Like you're disconnecting from the actual person. And so I think that's exactly what you're talking about. It's bringing back to how it used to be before social media. It was all about community and getting together and that group of pocket of friends.
100%. Yeah. And, I was going to say something about that, but,
maybe it'll come back.
Yeah. I was going to elaborate on that, but you said it pretty good. That's true.
You mentioned Japan, and I think that sparked a thought in me. At some point, you had mentioned to me that I think you got your camera in Japan or something, because it was like there was some. I remember you talking about how either it was how well the camera was made, or like it was a classic camera from like a war. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah. So this camera specifically, just so I didn't say that before, but this camera is a famous camera in Japan for having stopped a bullet and saving a photographer's life in Japan. This was used like during the Vietnam War. This is one of the main cameras that they used. And that's makes it really special. And I mean, if it could take bullets, it can take paintballs. So it's the perfect camera to shoot paintball with for me. And but Japan is great for anybody looking for anything vintage, really, because the quality of care and appreciation they have for things is just different there. Yeah.
Is that one of the reasons why you got that camera, is just the history behind it?
Yeah, I wanted to use that camera specifically to shoot this book, and I thought that would be cool. Like this was used during Vietnam, during all this black and white, like classic photography. I'm going to use this camera to shoot what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Like to me, hearing that, I resonate a lot with that, because I'm at a point in my life now where everything that I have, or everything that like I own or want to own, like I want it to feel like quality. Like I want to feel good when I use whatever that is, whether it's a tool or a camera, or even, like the pocket knife that I use to open the book that you sent me. Like it's high quality, it's handcrafted, and I feel better when I use that. It seems like you're similar.
Yeah, so that's the whole futures in the past thing too. Their brand is just all about that handmade stuff. But yeah, things were just made different. It wasn't built with, we want you to have the next best thing, the next thing we put out. We're not going to have a subscription based like consumer. We're not going to have that. We want to just make the best thing that we can. We're going to put it out, and we want it to last. And the stuff lasts a lifetime. Like this was made in the 60s. So like it's still going today. You can tell me if any new camera is going to last more than 10 years, not even 10 years, like anything, just cars, everything. So yeah, I love a lot of older stuff, and that's why I appreciate it and keep a lot of it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I'm getting to that point too. Same thing.
Yeah. This is like supposed to be like a little vintage room here. This is my studio, but that's like, I wanted it to look like an old 80s basement with the wood on the walls and stuff. So
yeah, it's got that feel to it. It looks great. Tell me what you do. I think we've known each other now for, I think, going on 3 years, and it's kind of cool. Like you and I started right around the same time, and I think without knowing it, I didn't know we did start at the same time. It's like when I first stepped on the pro field and saw you, I was like, oh man, here's this like dude who's kicking ass, like creating film or taking pictures with film. And then like we built a relationship, and I don't think I actually know what you do for a living. Like, what is your Monday through Friday?
I just work on my own stuff all the time.
Oh, you do this full time?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. I make prints. I sell prints online. This is my second book, actually. The first book was something that I did from my hometown. It's the book's called Up North, and I spent like a year doing that. And yeah, so I just kind of work on my own things, and I find a way to make it pay the bills, and it's been going good. Yeah.
Wow. How long have you been doing that for?
Probably about 5-6 years. Yeah, and before that, I was doing video production, graphic design, and stuff for brands, and it wasn't as rewarding. Like people were kind of telling me what to shoot, and it's just a different thing. So I wanted to do something that was completely for me. Yeah.
Can you like that's so fascinating, and I want to talk about that because I hear that from so many people is, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, right? We mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
How did you decide to do that? Because I think so many people struggle with that decision where they're working, a full-time 9 to 5 or a corporate job, and it's probably not their passion, but like, I think they dream about, man, I wish I could be doing this. And here you are, you're doing it. You're living your dream. It's like, how did you make that decision?
To be honest, I don't think it wasn't even really a decision because I'm just like, I don't want to spend my life working for other people and building other people up, and I want to build my own stuff. And I think you kind of just have to just bite the bullet, dive in, and just do it, and it's going to be hard for a bit, but eventually it's going to pay off. And like every year I notice like an improvement, and it's just doing really well. So yeah, but you have to be one of those people that are willing to put in the time on your own. Nobody's going to help you out with it. You got to do it yourself. So yeah,
that's
purely
incredible.
passion. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it. And I think, where that passion comes in, Kyle Spica kind of talked about it a little bit on his show with Tiger Wear, where he's like, not only am I, I'm the social media manager for Instagram. He's like, I'm also doing all the packaging. I'm also doing all of the printing. And it's like, you have to wear so many different hats when you're running your own business. And I think when it's passion first, like none of that matters. It just, you just want to do it because you love it so much.
Yeah. And also, wouldn't you love to support somebody and want to support somebody that's doing that on their own? Like I prefer to do that.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's great what he's doing. He's actually making quality stuff. And yeah.
You
those hoodies.
Yeah, same. His hoodies are killing. I've got to get one of your hoodies. I love those. Maybe I'll do that after the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what have you learned about yourself, going into your own business? What has that taught you?
Doing it myself. I mean, you have to really love what you're doing for sure. Because if you didn't like it, you wouldn't want to get up in the morning and spend a lot of time and in the beginning not get paid, because I mean, that's how it works. Right. So yeah, for especially for this book, I put all my time into it, didn't get paid. And I'm like, okay, I just want to make this and I hope people are going to like it. I hope there's people out there like me that, want to support it. And yeah, so you have to do stuff like that. Be willing to take risks. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the key takeaway right there is you've got to be willing to take a risk.
Hey, I love playing roulette at the casino. That's my favorite game. So it's perfect for me.
Yeah, there you go. Is it, cause I've gone back and forth with this quite a bit in the recent years, where part of my personal motto, which is now kind of turned into part of my brand or my branding that I want to start shifting it to, is live your legacy. And I heard a few years ago, I talked to my grandfather every single day. To this day, we text every morning, and I would just hear this reoccurring message of him. He would say, "Man, I wish I could have done this in my life. I wish I did this when I was earlier." And hearing that has just been so loud for me that I don't want to be that when I'm older. I don't want to look back and have regrets.
I should have said that too, because I had the same feelings, but I had those when I was 15, 16.
So you had it a lot earlier than I did.
I was thinking about that when I was a lot younger. Yeah.
So is that one of the reasons why you jumped into doing the business? Is because it's a risk, obviously, but you'd rather that?
Yeah, and I hated school too. I don't know. I can't remember. I think in high school there was one year where I missed 200 days out of the year or something. I just didn't go. I didn't like it. Everything that I learned and enjoyed was always done outside of school. Yeah. So, and I feel like that whole model is kind of broken. I'm not saying don't go to school, because there's certain things that you need to go for. If you're going to become a doctor or lawyer, you need to you got to go to school. But anything creative and just do it on your own. And if you generally have a passion and a talent for it, it's going to work out. And I think there's a lot of people that have that thought too, especially like musicians and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you hear it a lot, right? Like you hear it from some of the biggest creators in the world is they didn't resonate with school,
Yeah.
but they go on to do amazing things. And not that I'm, pro school or not. It's just everyone has a different style of learning and having a different style of how they're going to apply that creativity.
Yep. Yeah. And for me, it was just on my own, kind of still the same.
Yeah, that's incredible. I just happened to look down at your book again, and it sparked a thought of, I remember seeing some of the photos I took in the first edition of the Great American Paintball magazine that Alex did with Hormesis and whatnot.
Yeah.
In the amount of just sheer happiness I got from seeing my work in print was unreal. I don't know if I'll ever get that feeling anywhere else. Did you experience that when you saw your photos in the magazine for the first time?
Yeah, it was, I'm just honored to be a part of that. And yeah, that's how I felt too. That was it's a super special project that they put together. And yeah, it's really cool to see that other people appreciate your work. I think it's just rewarding. And no matter what people do, whether they share a post, whether they put it in a magazine or anything really, it's just all appreciated because you're doing this purely because you love to do it. And when people share it, it's like fuel, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I recall, you had a whole section in the last edition, didn't you?
Yeah, they posted something about my darkroom printing and stuff, or the first one. I haven't seen the second book yet, but
yeah, I remember because I've got both copies. I remember one of them had a section of your work in there, and it was just so cool to learn more about you.
Yeah, I got to thank Alex and Philip for putting me in there. I really appreciate that, and yeah, it validated what I was doing too. So,
gosh, they're just legends at what they're doing with this.
Yeah.
I think even just last night, on the Spick and Span show, Alex kind of gave a little bit of a teaser of some of the stuff coming out for the next edition of it. And I wish we had more of it, So I'm glad you're doing the book with 10 seconds because that's the emotion that I think we need to show and capture for our sport. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I got to thank Alex Sorensen and Tom Cole for allowing me to do this because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to even shoot the NXL events and stuff. So yeah, and anybody that pre-ordered the book, you made it possible because, yeah.
So talk to me a little bit more about that because you obviously do this full time, right? And so that means, you just thanked Alex and Tom. I don't think you're specifically shooting for anybody at NXL, and so you're flying all over the place on your own, on your own dime, right?
Yep, I fly to the events on my own, and I don't even take bookings for teams. People ask me all the time, can you shoot our team? Can you shoot our team? I'm like, I'm just kind of covering whatever, and I don't want to be tied in to doing that. I kind of want to have the freedom to roam and shoot as it happens, So that's the best way to do it anyway, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't want to have to be at one field when this is happening over there, So I'll shoot players, like individual players and stuff, and friends, as a favor. But I don't really book teams.
Man, so this is true passion first for you. Wow.
Yeah, 100%.
That's incredible. I've heard some other friends and other people on YouTube that I consume who are film photographers, and they always talk about the travel experience and how awful it is traveling with film. Can you talk about that? Because I just don't know what it is.
The TSA doesn't like film apparently, so they make a big deal every time you bring it. So you have to ask them to hand check your film, and sometimes they don't want to do that. And that could be a whole stressful situation when you're flying and stuff. So yeah, get an X-ray bag for film if you're going to shoot film, so that if they do put it through the scanner, it's going to be okay. It's like a lead-proof bag for your film. But yeah, I've had them pull out 30 rolls when I'm done a thing, and they swab everyone one by one. What are you looking for? I don't know. It's kind of funny.
Yeah,
and there's not a lot of agreeable people that work in that job, so sometimes it can get pretty stressful.
Yeah, and I imagine with you being in Canada and all the events being here, in the U.S., traveling international probably adds a whole nother element to that already stressful situation for you.
Yeah, so traveling in the States, if you're in the States, is fine. Traveling in Canada, when you're in Canada, is not. You don't have to go through this border check. So it's different when you're traveling international, and that's when it gets that can get pretty stressful.
Man, well, thank you.
I try to shut off my brain when I go through an airport. Personally, I don't even want to think. I don't want to look at anything. I just want to get through there as fast as I can and on to the event. So,
do you do anything to help? Because it almost sounds like it creates anxiety in a way. Do you listen to music or anything to get you through that?
Yeah, I listen to music when you go through, but you can't do that when you're going through security. Yeah. So you kind of just have to deal with it. But yeah, it's a stressful thing when you're traveling international for sure, and it gets worse every year. And I remember what it was like before all of this stuff. I used to fly a long time ago when my mom worked for Air Canada. She worked for the airline for 30 years. Yeah. And it was just get on the plane. Robin Williams, I think he does a skit about that. It's oh, what's that? Oh, that's a gun. Okay, gun on the plane. It's you could take anything. You could take a nail clippers and a knife, and it was different back then. So it's just yeah.
Wow. So you've actually been flying for a while, so you've seen it all. And now, especially having all the film with you, you're just, man, so what an experience you're going through just to capture this. That's crazy.
Yeah. Get a lounge pass. That's what I do. I'll go sit in the lounge and just chill out.
Yeah. Those things, I mean, if you can afford it, or if you've got a credit card that gives you, the different lounge access, they are incredible.
Yeah. There's the
definitely makes the travel
lounge or whatever, the Amex one. Whew. Nice.
Yeah. I would love to learn more about your editing process because, when these NXL event weekends for me, they are brutal. I'm just like you, I'm at the field from sun up to sundown. I have to go back to the hotel and dump literally thousands of photos off of my memory card so I can erase them for the next day. Charge all my batteries, and then I'm also editing some photos right there to also post in real time. You obviously don't and can't do that with film. So talk to me about that editing process for you.
Yeah, so I'm sitting on the water cooler watching you guys dump all this footage in the media tent, and I'm like, wow, you've already got it up. This game just finished, and you've already got the card ready and everything. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I can't do that. So yeah, it takes a while. So when I get home, I have to either develop the film myself and then go look at it, or I'll take it to the lab. And if I have a lot of rolls, I'll take it to a lab and get them to scan it and everything. But for the most part, I don't really edit the photos. So what you see is what I shot. Yeah, I might do a little crop on something, but that's the extent of it really. And maybe adjust the contrast. But yeah, I don't do much editing with these photos.
So there's a lot I want to unpack there. So the first part is what you just mentioned is, a lot of the media will go back to the media tent immediately after the game's over, jump on our computer, edit and post, and you're just sitting on a cooler by yourself watching us do that.
I'll have a water or something and just watch you guys do it.
Yeah, but talk about that. What is that experience like for you? Is that creating FOMO, or what is that?
What's FOMO? Yeah, I don't know.
So fear of missing out, where you're man, these people are posting this right away, or they're able to see their work and you're not.
No, I think it actually works out for me in a good way because, everyone's posting at the same time. I'm posting a week after or 2 weeks after the event. So it's almost refreshing the whole thing in people's minds when I post it. So it's everything's brand new again. So it works out good for everybody, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because there's a lot of times I look over and I see you just kind of chilling over there by yourself, and sometimes I feel bad of man, Nigel's just hanging out, but I didn't realize that was actually a good experience for you. So
no, I'm enjoying it. Yeah, and it's almost I get a little bit of downtime while everyone has to shoot and go back and edit it. You guys have no breaks. I got a break for a little bit. I can just chill because I don't need to upload right away. So it's nice actually.
Yeah, and the interesting thing that I've kind of learned over the past few years is in the media game, it's all about who's first, right? Who's going to post that photo first, and then if somebody posts it, well, then if I post it, it's not going to be, it's already out there, it's not as special. But there's also something interesting about there's so much media that gets posted those weekends that it kind of gets lost a little bit too.
Yeah, that's
And
what I'm
so-
talking about. Yeah, so like so I'm not posting right away. I'm not even posting like a week later, maybe like 2 weeks, but I'm making a book or something. I'm putting a book out like 2 years later. So
Yeah.
it's different. I just have a different way of thinking about it. I'm just making something and I'm not in a rush. Yeah. Just a
That's
different workflow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Like, talk about a whole different creative flow too. Like, you're not even worried about what's going on right now. You're just focused on, again, I think the theme of this podcast is doing what's for you. You're doing what's right for you.
Yep. Yep. And I find it more enjoyable, more rewarding for me personally. And yeah, I can't really elaborate on that too much, but
Sure.
yeah, I do not find it as a negative at all personally. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. Now I know that more
Yeah,
about
so if
you.
you see me chilling over there, I'm just taking a break. Yeah, I'm not worried.
Yeah, good.
I'm just tired from the heat. I got burnt that in Tampa like bad. I didn't even put on any heat screen. I'm like, okay, I'm not stupid, but like, I got to be on the beach to get a really bad tan here. I'm like, no, my neck was bad. Like,
Yeah. I mean, like it's cool to see you're always out there like rocking OG gear. Like you've always got like the fins on. You've always got stuff. Maybe we got to get you like an OG Sandana or something.
I need something. I need some like custom hormesis stuff, man. You gotta
Yeah.
make that happen.
We're for sure gonna make that happen. Like I'm gonna text Alex right after this. I'm like, hey, we gotta do something for you.
Do something cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of, this is a random question, but like speaking of anything OG, do you have any OG gear that is like special to you?
Oh yeah, like I forgot to pull it up. One sec. So this is actually an old team that I used to play on out of Canada, and here we go. So this is this is called Montreal Energy, and this was a pro team that played in a 3-on-3 series that was on TV. This team is in Greg Hastings' game.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, it's got your name on the back of it too. So for those that are listening in, Nigel's holding up a jersey that says Montreal NRG on it. And it's got his name on it. I had no idea that was
Remember Stiffy?
Stiffy. Yeah. And is that R7 on the chest too?
Yeah, R7, Virtue, PBL, which was like a big brand in Canada for everything really. It was like a Badlands, I would say. And,
Oh my gosh. Talk about like a throwback.
you can find clips online. Type in Montreal Energy. I think it's like a World Paintball League.
Okay. I mean, I may skip that and just go play Greg Hastings. I miss that game so much.
They got to honestly, if they remastered that game and brought it out again, I'm sure it would be do really good.
Yeah, man. What was like? So talk about that experience. I'm sure you played it, but like seeing your own jersey in that game, like what was that like?
That was really cool, and that event was really cool. I can't remember where it was. I think it was in Vegas where they did it, and the field was. I can't remember how big the field was. It was a little bit bigger than the Joust, I think. It was a tiny field, but they had 3 people on that 3-on-3 on a field that was just a little bit bigger than the Joust thing. Like it was stupid.
Oh, wow.
Like you'd look down there and you're like, oh my, like we're actually gonna shoot each other from this. Like it was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds similar to when Smart Parts did their championship, like in arenas. I think they did one in the Mohegan Sun near where I lived when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That sounds really similar to that. That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun playing that.
Yeah, man. So like when you do play like here and there, is that the jersey that you're typically wearing?
No, that's kind of like a relic now. I just have it at home and I keep it. I should probably frame it, but no, I kind of just wear whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you've got like that beautiful poster of the Friday the 13th. There's a empty spot right next to it that a jersey would fit perfectly.
I know I should put it. Yeah, I just can't nail into this stuff because, yeah. But yeah, I'd like to put something up.
Yeah, maybe we get like some prints of yours up there or something would be cool.
I got a bunch downstairs. I got like a whole gallery kind of set up. Yeah.
I bet. What's been your favorite picture that you've taken so far in paintball?
That's tough. That one that I took of you, I really like. It's like a recent photo.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
Yeah, I don't like my work after a while. And I think a lot of photographers are like that. Like you look at it so much that you don't know what it is after a certain point.
Yeah.
And like, I like this like last week or last month, whatever. And then you just keep looking at it. And then you just pick it apart. And it's just, yeah, it's hard to pick favorites for your own work, I would say.
Yeah, you mentioned like photographers go that. I don't think that's just photographers. I think that's just creatives in general.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like when I used to do some like video editing a little bit on the side, and just hours of being in Final Cut Pro, I would like what am I doing? Like I hate this, and like I would have to go step away and just like completely unplug my mind to come back to it.
Yeah.
And like
With
that
fresh
just
eyes.
helped. And
Yeah.
and I think that we see that so many times where like we're obviously our own critics being creatives. For me, that's where I've struggled quite a bit is I'm now kind of going through like some imposter syndrome, like working through that. But yeah, the first year or so, like I would see photos and then I would see like something that you took or J-Mac took or Philip took. And I would just instantly like, wow, well, like, yep, my work sucks compared to all of that.
No, it definitely doesn't suck. Your work definitely doesn't suck. So
appreciate that.
Yeah, you've got some great shots, and a lot of them I'm like, oh damn, I wish I took that. And it's just you just keep improving.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an appreciation, right? Because like I've got my own style. You clearly have your own style. Philip has his own style, and that's I think when I started to look at I'll call it the media team or like the media family for all of us is. Instead of comparing myself to other people, it's more of just an appreciation of that person's art form and their style. Yeah. And I've noticed when I've done that, I start to appreciate my own work more because I'm not comparing it.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm the same way. I don't really compare myself to anybody else. I'm trying to do my own thing. And
you are, and you're killing it.
Oh, thanks, man. I see a lot of people trying to shoot film now, and I'm like, oh, there's a lot more people shooting black and white stuff now. I'm like, oh, cool. Like I've created a monster with this.
Yeah, well, like you might be the person that inspired a lot of that.
That's cool. Yeah.
So I hope
I like to look at.
Yeah, and I hope after this airs that people will realize like you are the person behind essentially the black and white paintball. I don't know if anyone has done this before you that has like gotten to as big as you are.
Yeah, I know there hasn't been a completely black and white photo book. I think this is the first one. So breaking some ground there, just doing something different. But yeah, I hope it inspires people to do their own stuff too. Like put out your own magazine, put out your own zine, make a book or something. Like it's good for the sport. And if you're doing good stuff, people will support it, I think. That's what's great about the industry and the sport.
Yeah, that's something I've noticed so much about paintball is, and I wish it was in like other parts of the world too, but you see it a lot in paintball where there's just so much support for small creators. Like when you go to all the events, like there's a lot of small companies there. Like we've seen Uno's Jerky, at NXL events and at USXBL events, and like
love that.
Yeah, you love them too, right? And like that's one person doing jerky on his own.
Yeah. It's everybody supports everybody, I feel like,
Yeah.
We like good stuff, and I think everybody should be doing something personally. If you're playing paintball and you got a cool idea, like let's make it happen, like do something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, because the community wants it.
Yeah.
Yep, I love it. Awesome. Well, man, Nigel, this has been incredible, and I'm so glad we got to like re-sit down and redo this. And now that I wasn't stressed out going into this, and you getting through your first podcast jitters, like you absolutely crushed it.
Thanks, man. Was it recording? Oh shit! No, I'm just kidding.
If not, we'll do it for a third time.
Jesus.
It's funny. It's funny you said that. Like I'm halfway through this, I'm like, oh my gosh, did I do the video recording, or is this just going to be audio? And so if I hit you up in a day or two, you're either going to block me or you're going to say, yeah, let's record again for a third time. So I've ended all of my shows with a question that I ask my guest. That way, it's a really cool way to like connect each and every one of the guests that I have on the show, because the next guest that comes on, they don't know the question ahead of time.
Okay.
And so this question that I have for you, it's actually one of the questions that I wanted to ask you in a way, comes from Yosh Rao of San Diego Dynasty. And I'll kind of put some framework to it. So he said, it's easy to set a goal and tell a goal to somebody. It kind of sets that motivation and form of accountability in a way. Yosh wants to know, what goal do you want to put out here to the public, to my audience and your audience, that you want to see come true for yourself?
What goal?
Yeah, and that kind of goes in tie with the question I also want to ask you of what's next for you, which is essentially you're putting a goal out there to the public.
I would say just make something cool. Like make something paintball related and unique, and put something out. I would say that's a good goal for anybody that's playing, right?
But for you personally though,
for me, what would I do?
What's a goal for you?
I'll shoot a roll of color film. That's a goal for me. Yeah, which I never do. So.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll do it next event. I'll do it in Atlantic City, and maybe we can post it and talk about the shots.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Oh man, now I'm excited for Atlantic City. That's what a great answer. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Now you get to ask a question for my next guest, and it can be anything.
What's your top 3 favorite movies?
Oh, top 3 favorite movies. Okay, I love that, because I think you and I are friends, and I've seen you post a lot on Instagram. You're a huge movie buff, right? Because I see you're always making popcorn.
I watch a lot of movies. Yeah, I have a popcorn machine at home, like a theater popper that I bought.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I did a projector, and I did the whole thing when the theaters closed in Canada, like 2020. Yeah, so I'm like, I'm just gonna, I could do this, so I'm gonna make a theater at home, and I watch a lot of movies anyway, so it makes sense. And yeah, so anytime
so you did it
not
right
in the theater. Yeah, when people see that, it's not a theater. I'm making that at home.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I literally thought you had like a movie pass, that you were going to movies like every week.
Nope.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good to know. What are your top 3 favorite movies?
My top 3? I got 3 of them here. I can say it's hard to pick favorites, but these are 3 movies that I really like, and I got them on VHS too. So here's one.
Which one? So that's Aliens, right?
Alien 1. Yeah.
Gosh.
Ridley Scott, great movie if you haven't seen it.
Classic.
Number 2.
Full Metal Jacket, another classic.
Yeah, Kubrick. And this one, if you haven't seen it, go watch it, because it's a great movie.
Is it Revenge of the Nerds, right?
Revenge of the Nerds, yeah.
Yeah, gosh, some classic movies there. And you know what's funny? You said VHS. I guarantee you somebody's gonna listen to this show and be like, they have like either don't know what a VHS is or has never actually tangibly held one in their hands.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, and if you do have a VHS, actually post in the comments like what you have. If you have any rare tapes or anything. I collect stuff, so I think that stuff's cool. But yeah, what's your top 3 favorite movies?
My top 3 favorite movies. Gosh, this is like naming a favorite child.
Yeah, it's all based on mood and how you kind of feel at the time. Yeah, but
I think that my first one's easy, but like 2 and 3 are hard. So I've always been, since I've been a kid, I've been like obsessed with Titanic. And some people, I think, as cheesy as it is, like I love Titanic. I've seen that movie at least 100 times. And the cool thing now,
what do you think about the ending when when she's like on the what is it? She's on a picture frame. It's like a meme. Like he could have fit. That's like, I'm like, that's the only thing I have a problem with that movie. Like, how do you? It's $1 billion budget or whatever, and like that's the one thing that they didn't put.
Yeah, so like I've seen this movie so many times, and my original thought when I first saw that, and spoiler for anyone that hasn't seen Titanic, like who hasn't, but spoiler, the end of it, like when it flashes to Rose as she's older in the bedroom, and then it kind of pans off to the picture frame. My first thought was like, oh, she passed away in that moment, and then it goes to the whole scene where they're either back on the ship, everyone is like younger, and like, oh, that's maybe what she's dreaming of when she passes away. Like that's what she wants to come back to life as, or with.
That's like where her heart is. It's a great movie, and I get chills watching that.
Yeah, same.
I think everybody does. Yeah,
same. And the cool thing now is my stepson is like crazy obsessed with Titanic. Like has the Lego set and like has shirts, and so it's cool that I can share that experience with him. And like when he's here for the the summer, we will watch it and we will literally recite the movie together. Like that's how much we've seen it and know it. It's so cool.
Nice, man. He's Canadian too, James Cameron.
He
Canadian.
is, yeah,
Yeah.
he is.
Speaking
But yeah,
which,
for
there's
my
another one.
Aliens, yeah,
Yeah, so and that's one of the best sequels made by the same guy.
love it. He's incredible. I don't want to dodge the question. So my second and third, though, my second favorite movie has to either be The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises. I grew up a huge Batman fan. Like I've got a Batman tattoo on my shoulder. And I think I saw that movie probably 10 times in theater when it first came out.
What's
Dark
your
Knight.
favorite one of them?
Probably The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger. One
okay.
of the Joker was just wild.
Yeah.
I
The
think
third one's really good too. I like the third one.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
You know, I forget the guy's name, but the guy who played Bane crushed it. The guy who played, Scarecrow through all of them crushed it. So they're
Tom
their
Hardy?
own. Yeah. So they are their own films in their own way, but they also work as a trilogy too. My third one, that's the hardest one.
He should make a Carnage movie. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, they
totally be
should
down
make
for
an
that.
R-rated Carnage movie, and that would be sick.
Yeah. I'd be all about that. Oh man, my third one. Gosh, this is so hard. Just because I seem to be drawn to like movies about like natural disasters or something as iconic as like Titanic. I love Twister, the original movie. I remember seeing that as a kid and just being blown away at like the thought of a tornado, and I would just like imagine what it would be like seeing a tornado in person, and just like how much that overtook my thought process. Even to this day, like here in Texas, it's pretty flat, and knock on wood, like I've never seen a tornado in person, but like I think like, man, just imagine driving down and seeing a tornado like miles away. Like that's got to be such a wild experience for anyone who has experienced that.
For sure, and that they did a great job with that movie. Like in terms of bringing you into that thing. I remember when they're throwing up like the cylinders and trying to like map it. Like that, I seen that in the theater. It was a great movie.
Yeah, same. And that's, I don't remember, I was obviously younger, but seeing it in theater was just like this eye-opening, holy cow experience. And like, speaking of what that did for someone seeing it in the theater, I got to take my stepson to go see Twisters, the second one that just came out last summer. And like,
Oh, cool.
his eyes were just like wide open the whole entire movie, just experiencing all that. So like, maybe when he's older, he'll look back and, talk about what that experience was for him too. That'd be really cool.
Cool, man.
Yeah. Well, Nigel, this has been so incredible. I'm so excited to see you here in a little bit. Seems like we're already counting down already to Atlantic City. And I'm selfishly excited to end this podcast so like I can go jump into like looking at your pictures and really sinking into this. So thanks again for sending me a copy, and whoever wins that giveaway, it's going to be so cool for them to literally have a piece of paintball history that they can own.
Cool, man. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, and thanks for sharing the book. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Well, to everyone else, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Shellda Podcast, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.